So now we've covered the three different tracks we're going to talk about. And at this point, we're going to look at parturition and how that starts and what actually happens when a female livestock animal goes into giving birth. So if an ovum of the female is fertilized and the animal becomes pregnant, then the embryo is going to grow and develop. And it's going to grow and develop in the uterus, just like we talked about. And after that period of embryological development, or gestation, the developing animal is referred to as a fetus. So that single-celled organism where the ovum has just been fertilized is known as a zygote. And then after a while, the zygote becomes an embryo. And then after it becomes an embryo, then it becomes a fetus. So during gestation, the fetus will develop in the uterus. And then at the end of gestation, that's when parturition begins. And like we talked about, gestation lengths vary depending upon the species of animal. So after that gestation period is over, whatever amount of time that might be, that's when parturition starts. So the normal fetus position at birth, especially when we look at animals that are, animals like horses or cattle or sheep and goats, this is how your fetus will present as it's being born. Right, so we call it the diving position. So the front feet first, and the legs will be slightly offset from one another. So typically when you go to dive into a pool, you're going to put both of your hands together. That's not how the diving position is with a livestock animal. So it would be like slightly offsetting your arms. So you'd have one arm that's further out than the other. And this helps kind of offset the shoulders a little bit so that the shoulders can pass through more easily. The nose is going to be tucked in between the front legs. So then once the nose and the head come out, then you're going to see the shoulders. Then it's going to be followed by the body or the middle of the animal, then the hips, and then finally the back legs and feet. So it almost looks like the animal is diving out of its mouth. So pretty much any presentation or position at birth that does not follow the diving position is considered abnormal, and this could cause problems, okay? Some problems could be minor. I mean, it might just be that, you can reposition the animal and get it to come out normally. Or if it's really, really bad, then it could actually cause death of the newborn, or it could, or death of the mother. And we really don't want that to happen. So normal presentation at birth is very important. Like I said, some of these presentations can be considered not awful, but you still want to make sure that the animal is presenting normally at birth. So the parturition process. So it actually begins with an increased estrogen level. And that increased level of estrogen causes the uterus muscles to start to contract. The first water bag is going to appear. It's going to kind of enlarge and then break open. And then soon after that, the second water bag that actually contains the fetus is going to break open, and then the presentation of the calf begins, or the kid, or the ewe lamb, or whatever. And then several hours later, so once the animal is presented, so the calf is born, several hours after the calf is born, the placenta and other membranes are going to be expelled. And this is what's called the afterbirth. If the afterbirth is not expelled, the animal will actually become sick. And with a lot of these animals, you actually want to pull the placenta out, and once it's expelled, you want to stretch it out on the ground and make sure that there's no holes in it, no parts missing. Because if there is a hole or a chunk missing or something, it could be retained in the mother. And at that point, you need to call a veterinarian and have them flush it. Because if any part of that placenta is retained in the uterus, it can actually cause really, really bad problems. It can cause massive infection in the mother, things like that, things that we want to definitely avoid. That is it on reproduction and parturition. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, thanks for sticking with me through this one.